So we've touched on what a city council member does broadly, but let's go down to a more detailed, specific level. So for city planning and housing, how does a city council member affect those policies and those regulations within our city?
Yeah, we get to determine every development that's going to enter our city, that's going to apply from the permitting process, its beginning steps, all the way through to the end, regulating, making sure that we're inspecting these developments, making sure that we've created and curated a safe neighborhood for everybody. That being said, we've ushered in haphazardly all types of development, and because of that, I'm proposing a 6-month moratorium on exceptions. It's not to stop development, but rather to do it in a smart way that achieves long-term growth, that's actually proactively looking at our facades from urban design elements. That means making sure that we keep our city beautiful, that we're enriching its history and telling that story through urban design, through our streetscape and planning. It's also recognizing the types of families that we need in our city. We need to make space and room for our service workers, for all types of staff, for families that have multiple people in the household working. For those that don't have access to childcare, we need to consider all the pressures. For example, we have local schools that are considering closing today. It's not to be afraid of that conversation, but I'm excited to step into that narrative and to work with our school board so that way our district becomes abundant for students and a safe place where families feel that they're invested in too. So we get to determine all of this. It's through our permitting process. We have codified the most change that allows those families to stay in our city.
Wow. So it sounds like you have quite the role to enact for the city on behalf of its communities.
Yep.
So it is really important that folks get out there and understand this role that you are providing for them.
Yeah, if you care about your neighbors, or if you care about kids that cross to school every day, you're going to want to vote in this election.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me more about housing affordability and how you might directly affect that through your position.
Yeah, well, as you know, Adrien, in our market is going to ultimately shape demand, and that demand that we see increase every year is going to increase our market rates on our supply, on our real estate. That means homes are increasing in value. We see equity going up, and that means in a private sale transaction, you might be somebody that's going to have to become a higher bidder to gain access to that. And the ability, what city officials are doing, the perspective I come in with is to create that supply, to try to stabilize our market, to try to stabilize access to those opportunities. Also to create master plans where we articulate where there's a food desert. That means building in strategically markets, subsidizing different bodegas to come into neighborhoods. We want families to walk around our neighborhoods after all. It also means investing in our local parks. You know, I was part of a project that brought in new investments so that way we can update our parks. They needed a lot more investment. So we get to affect affordability in that sense. We also get to partner with those that would like the city to come in as a shareholder. We're looking at purchasing, along with new homeowners, different land trusts, as well as different real estate opportunities. So that way, if there's a dilapidated home, the city can come in and help subsidize whether it's a porch or a remediation that's needed to its roofing. It's about creating opportunity all over our housing supply.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
That's incredible that you have such a broad bandwidth of responsibilities that directly affect real estate and the housing in our communities. It's just surprising to me that we haven't met before and had this conversation. So it's been good to hear about all the different aspects of city council and how it affects our communities.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to know is, what impact are you looking to achieve if you are elected to office?
Oh, I'm excited by this question because as a candidate, I get to put myself out there on my ideas and views of the city. Long term, my vision is to create deeply affordable housing so that all families, if you're a worker or a service worker, you have equal access to this city, as well as the young professionals and those that have chosen to age in place in our communities. A city that defines its role environmentally, meaning caring for our air quality in our Great Salt Lake, ensuring long-term preservation of our Wasatch Mountains and access to our natural foothills and our trail systems. I care deeply about our parks, our schools, but most importantly, our community. And this is my final pillar on my campaign, is making sure that we preserve our community long term. That means single-handedly determining, streamlining permitting processes so that small businesses can stay in our downtown. They're equally at risk today with all the development that's being constructed because we're not considering the cost of square footage of commercial leases in our downtown area. Salt Lake City is so special to me, Adrien. It's special because it gave me my opportunity a decade ago as a community organizer, as a project manager, and as a city employee that got to advocate for our neighborhoods every day. So I'm excited to step into this space, and it's because I see a world-class city in Salt Lake City.
I couldn't agree more. And Salt Lake City provided me a home 11 years ago when I moved out here. I found my community, my tribe, my people, and I want to see this city flourish as well.
Yeah.
With that said, we have heard some rumblings about the Olympics coming up, maybe sometime in the future. I heard 2030, 2034. We don't know yet, but tell us a bit more about how the Olympics affect our community and our city at large.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've had the Olympics before. In 2002, we had the international spotlight for the first time on our little town, Salt Lake City, as we like to call it.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited. In 2015, we started to explore what it would look like to bid on the Olympics again, if our city could handle it. And I'll tell you what, we had so much infrastructure investment come in. And I was a part of the team that got to build what's called a community benefit agreement, or a CBA. And in the CBA, we get to define as neighbors, as community organizers, as people that represent nonprofits, step in and say, we need more housing. We'd like to have investment in our environment. And we'd like to see more partnership to amplify the culture, community, and small businesses of Salt Lake City. And so this brings us an opportunity to reinvest, not just in our infrastructure, but to look under a microscope at our communities and say, what do we want to highlight? Now that we're going to be an international spotlight again, what are the beautiful things of Salt Lake City, and what are the opportunities we have ahead of us with the growth we're experiencing to make sure that our city is a welcoming place for all diverse points of views, perspectives, experiences from all over the world. We want people to see the beauty of the American West in Salt Lake City. So this excites me. I think the Olympics would bring opportunities to our city and to our downtown to allow us to tell stories of our pioneer ancestors that persevered through our mountains and the legacy that all of us have created today. And that's because everybody that walks through our downtown and our capital city has left a footprint behind. They're leaving a memory of the impact of the opportunities they're seeking to access. You and I are innovating, we're changing this city, and we're leaving history. So I want to tell that story through our Olympics.
Well, I gotta say, I am fired up by your answer. Holy smokes. Can the Olympics come next year? Let me tell you. But that is absolutely incredible. Ava, I want to thank you so much for your time and taking the time out of your day to come speak with me and tell us a bit more about City Council. It's been an absolute pleasure, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Adrien, and thanks to the agency. I love that you have entered the space. I think more than ever, we need good realtors. We need people that work and live in our community to understand what our city needs. So I'm happy that you're here in Salt Lake City. Thanks for making Salt Lake your home.
Always happy to be of service.
Thanks.